Good morning, everyone. It's good to see you guys. We're trying something a little bit different today, which I think is going to become the new standard. We're going to do this vertical orientation here on the video, so I hope that that works. So if anyone wants to jump in and give an opinion about that at some point, always happy to hear it. But let's get rolling and see what our questions are for today. The other difference is I've got my questions on the screen behind me here as opposed to on paper. So all kinds of new things happening. All right, so jumping into it. First question. Sam Tran, how did you find the idea for your first company? I have worked in my family's grocery business for a long time and I am finally ready to start my own thing, but I don't know what. What would you advise me to look at in my life to figure out what would be a good business to get into? Thanks. So my first company was a company that I called Purchase Inc., which was essentially a marketplace for companies to come together and like say, hey, I need this and I can provide that, and I need this and I can provide that, kind of that sort of like connecting sort of thing. This was back in the mid 90s. I was very young, and I would not recommend doing a business based on just like that because you thought of it, right? Like that's probably would be a bit of a recommendation in that just because it was an idea that I came up with didn't necessarily mean it was a good idea. So I think the way that I approach new businesses now and the way that I approach like investment opportunities now is that I really want to take into account what resources do I actually have available and like what types of opportunities are going to make best use of those resources, because if I don't have access to the things I need to be successful, then the idea, no matter how quote unquote good it is, if I'm not the guy to execute it, I'm not the guy to execute it. So I would just recommend that maybe take a laundry list of like things that you have, right? Maybe you've got money, maybe you've got time, maybe you've got a great network of people from particular industries. Like literally like kind of go through your whole life and kind of list out the things that are like useful resources to you. I'm not really worried about how they fit together, but just what are the potential resources that you can deploy that you can call upon when you start this new business or whatever it is that you decide you want to do. And then once you have that list, and then of course then it's just the old entrepreneurial kind of adage of like, you've got to find a problem to solve, right? That's what we're doing when we start a business. We're creating a system that's going to solve problems for other people, and those people will pay us to have that problem solved. So I think if you do your resources list, what do I have? And then maybe a third thing would be, I think the third thing would be, what do you want to do? And like, what is like, this kind of goes in your resource list, kind of. But like, if you're someone who enjoys being outside and wants to be outside all the time, and then this business that you're considering is going to have you inside for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, don't do that business, because that's a dumb idea, because you're just going to hate it even if you're successful. I've been in a lot of positions where I've been successful and hated what I was doing in the process. Luckily, I've always turned over things pretty quickly, every couple of years or so, so I never really got too stuck. But people get into kind of those golden handcuff situations where they have a business that's successful, that they've built, they've used their resources, they've solved a problem, they're successful, they're making money, but now all of a sudden they find themselves in a position where they just don't like the things they have to do to be successful anymore. And so you can avoid a lot of that if you consider, well, what would be a fun way to, like, fun business to be in based on who you are and what you like and how you actually work. If you're a sales type minded person, then it's good to do a business that has a lot of sales as part of the focus. Like another business that may have less of that. So like, although sales you have to do with everything, so you're gonna do that one way or the other. So anyway, that's my thought on that one, Sam. Good luck as you try to figure that all out, and let me know if I can be helpful in some way. Next question is from Kelly Killingsworth. How do I become the absolute best owner leader in my excavation company? I'm the owner of Kelco Construction. We are an excavation contractor in Northern California. I know that I am a great operator. I know that I'm one of the better drivers around. I know that I can work my ass off, but I do not know how to grow and lead a successful business. As I look to add team members, what are things I should be doing to increase my skills in leadership and team building so I can grow the company? Oh, that's a big question. Becoming a good leader is kind of part of it, and increasing your leadership skills is an ongoing process as an entrepreneur as you grow. I guess my first recommendation would be you've got to start somewhere. You have to have that first employee. So when you bring on that first employee, think of it kind of a little bit like an experiment. I hate to say it that way, but that's kind of the truth. Make sure that you give them the information that they need. That's something that I've always kind of struggled with, is that I have a tendency to quickly go over things with people and just kind of say, hey, you got it, and then they don't got it, but they say they do. So giving them all the good information that they actually need to be successful and to make them successful is kind of a step one. And I think from growing from a leadership perspective, if you're not reading books, I know that there's a lot of conversation in AO about different books that they read, that everybody reads. I'm trying to think of some of, like, one of my favorite kind of, it's not necessarily a leadership book, it's more of a systems to leadership book, because I'm a systems focused person. And so I can very much imagine it's easier for me to understand how leadership works from a systems perspective as opposed to maybe like a EQ perspective. Even though I have a pretty good EQ, I prefer systems in that regard. So what I would recommend is there's a book called 4 Disciplines of Execution, which is a great system for managing people and for kind of getting everyone rallied around like a common goal. 4 Disciplines of Execution is the kind of systems part of it. And then there's a book called Turn That Ship Around, which is the kind of narrative story, a true story about the implementation of that system within a company, in that case, it was a military submarine crew that implemented this structure. So if you're a little uncomfortable about like how best to get started, I would maybe read those 2 books and then think of how you're going to implement those systems and those thought processes into your interactions with your new employees as you move along. So that's that one. Awesome. Next question, Rohit Gupta. How does our company best deal with competition? We sell exotic snacks and drinks from around the world. Right now we sell at exhibitor events and online through our website, but we are opening a retail store. We just found out that we're getting retail competition in our area, and it's hard to deal with because we wanted to be the first to show our products off to the community, but we may get beaten to that. They're a retail store like us coming to the mall. We live in a small city, so all the attractions are near the mall. I'm getting doubts about the business. How do we make sure we are the best and beat the competition? Okay, so I guess those are big questions. So I guess the first question I would have is that from like a marketing perspective, what are your thoughts there versus what do you think the competitor is doing? Because at the end of the day, if you're both thinking in terms of retail, that means you have physical locations, which means people aren't going to know you unless they see you, either because they walked by and see the store, oh, there it is, or you're actively marketing and communicating with them. I would guess that your best way to quote unquote beat the competition is going to be how well you're able to communicate with your potential audience. Some people call that marketing. I feel like in this day and age, it's a certain level of like, you need to communicate with them. It's not just like, oh, I'm going to pay for money and post an ad somewhere. I'm going to pay this or do that. Like, it's really going to be, how do I actually engage with my audience, with my community, using my physical location as, the draw in some way. Like, we're going to have, you're going to have events. You're going to, again, I don't know what you're selling. It just says exotic snacks and drinks from around the world. So I guess that means that it's like a, collections of things that people might be buying that they would have bought in other countries. I don't know if there's local people from those other countries who would be like into the fact that this stuff is now available in their area. So like connecting with those communities directly as quickly as possible. I think that's how you would win, quote unquote, win in this case, especially if what you're selling has a, like the people are going to buy it more than once, like they're going to buy it every month because they like it and like they want to have their regular supply of whatever. So yeah, you definitely want to try to capture them because that recurring aspect of it. So yeah, I think it's going to come down to communication and how well you can do that. So there's another book that I love, which I'm sure a lot of you have already heard me say, called The Goal. The Goal is basically the book about the theory of constraints. The theory of constraints basically says there's one important thing that regardless of all the other stuff that's going on in a process, there's one thing that manages, that kind of controls the flow of, let's call it success in this case, through the business. So anytime you're not focusing your attention on that success thing, the constraint, then you're essentially kind of wasting time. Like you're just doing stuff that has to get done, which would be urgent stuff. People get urgent and important confused because they think that because something's urgent, it's automatically important, which generally is not true. Usually the important stuff is the stuff that's the easiest stuff to like slough off and just like not do it. We usually get stuck doing urgent stuff and then getting confused on why we're not getting anywhere. If you find yourself spinning your wheels and working really hard and doing a lot of things and nothing's growing, nothing's changing, then you're probably just stuck in the urgent and not working on the important. So in the case of taking on this competition, you got to put as much time as possible on the important stuff, whatever you identify as the important stuff. I just identified it as communication with your audience, with your potential customer base. That's where you should be putting a lot of your attention. If I had to guess, if you're opening a retail store, you're probably currently putting a lot of attention on the logistics of just getting the store open. But the bad news will be that if that's all the attention you put in, you're going to swing the doors open and no one's going to show up. So keep your mind focused on that constraint, whatever that thing is in your business, because that's really the thing that drives you forward. The more time and effort and money and people resources and everything you put towards that, that's what's going to grow you and get you to where you want to go. All right. Lamont Gray. Should I offer services that do not usually fall in line with my core business offerings? I provide point-of-sale systems and security cameras for businesses and homeowners. When setting up clients, I find myself usually providing some other service. For example, when installing security cameras, I usually have to mount a television to the wall, or when installing a POS, I usually have to configure the network. This usually leads to clients asking me to perform other jobs outside of what they originally asked for, which I am happy to offer for an additional fee. Should I promote all the services that I can offer, TV installation, network configuration, or continue to focus on my core service? I guess it depends on how you want to make money. If you're making a lifestyle business and you want to it's just you actually doing the work and you're happy with that and you think you can make whatever dollar amount on an annual basis that you can, and if you just keep your hours busy at a high hourly rate, that's how you make money. It sounds like these add-on services might be great, right? You're there for one reason, you market for one reason, you get in the door, and then you upsell them all this other stuff that you can do. That's a great deal. If you want to build a scalable business, then I think you have to be a little bit more concerned on focus, because if you're going to scale, you need to be able to hire other people to do the same things that you're offering. And if you just happen to have this skill set that you can do all these things yourself, how hard is it going to be to replace you or to find other people who can also do all those things on the fly? So I think that would be my main question, I suppose, is I love focus. The focus is great because when you want to scale, you need to focus, because usually by diluting your offering, you end up like kind of never really, you're kind of jack of all trades, master of none kind of situation as a business. And then you confuse your customer base because they don't know exactly what you do, or they'll call you for all these little odds and ends. But like I said, in this case, if these are upsells because you came in through the door on one thing, but then you upsell into something else, and you can deliver the service either happily yourself or from another, because you've hired somebody and now you can train them to do it, then maybe it is. Maybe it's just an add-on service that you have. But I'd be very wary of adding services. A lot of times what people will do is they want to make more money, so they'll add kind of hodgepodge services, kind of, or additional products that kind of sell a little bit and it's kind of going to make a little bit of sense, but in the process of doing that, they give themselves more headaches, and then again, take focus away from the actual thing that drives the business. It isn't that extra $100 or whatever that you make on the TV installation. It's the fact that you're needing to focus your attention more on sales and marketing of your core business. Like, that's where you should be putting the effort in. That extra $100 is actually costing you money because you're not spending focus on what's driving your business. So anyway, that's my thoughts on that one. Another question from Lamont Gray. What should I use for providing technical support to clients? I provide point-of-sale systems and security cameras to businesses and homeowners. Currently, my clients get free tech support for 6 months on all products and services. I'm struggling with determining how I should offer support after the 6-month period. Currently, I charge a service fee depending on what needs to be repaired after 6 months. On a previous Zoom call, we are encouraged to think of ways of generating recurring revenue in our business, and now I'm thinking of offering a retainer fee to businesses where they pay an annual fee depending on the size of the company, and it provides them with IT support in their business without having to hire an IT department. Yes, is this a good approach? Yes, that is a good approach. I know a bunch of guys that are in the IT, like outsourced service business. Some of these companies are $30-40 million recurring revenue businesses. They're fantastic. And it's all based on recurring revenue. You can't really build a business, in my opinion, unless you have some sort of recurring revenue in your business. Even if you're selling stuff onesie twosie to people, those same people have to come back every month. Like, if you're turning and burning your customer base, it's going to be a hard way to grow your business. So in this particular case, yes, I think I've almost exclusively, in kind of like an IT services perspective, I've exclusively seen recurring revenue models where companies pay a monthly fee to get some sort of service on an ongoing basis, and that's just kind of the model. What I've seen work really well with that is you play with your pricing so that maybe your one-time visits, or like, sure, you could just call us up if you're not a member or you're not on the recurring plan. You could just call us up. We'll do the work, and we're going to charge you, $400 just for any service call we come out and do, because it's a couple hours of work to just come check and diagnose and do things. It's $400. Or you can sign up for our recurring, whatever you want to call it, program, and the price for that is $400. So basically, the cost of one visit, you're covered for this amount of work. So you kind of show them that it's like, if they pay you onesie twosie, it's going to cost them X, but if they just join the membership program, they're going to kind of end up paying the same amount. But now you know that you're for sure getting that money, whether they call you or not. And then of course there's not upsell, that's not the right word, but there's like overages that if they require more than just this basic stuff, they'd have to pay extra for that and all that. So I would definitely think in terms of getting them on how do I build a credit card every month or every year or whatever, because that's what's going to allow you to grow your business and to have some stability so you can grow your infrastructure. It's really hard to grow your infrastructure if you don't ever know what your revenue is going to be. Okay, next question. Rohit Gupta. Do you have any ideas for promotion as we look to open our first retail brick and mortar store? We sell exotic snacks and drinks. Our brick and mortar store is coming soon, and figuring out which route is the best for promotion for our grand opening. We have thought of flyers and local newspaper so far. I think the best thing is going to be getting your local community to the store, who are your potential audience or whatever, right? So like, I think that your Facebook groups that are in the area that have like kind of a related theme or something like that, or maybe are from a same, like, if it's like, again, exotic snacks, I'm assuming from all over the world. If there's certain like ethnic like organizations or associations or groups that you can connect with and have them come out and help promote. Because basically, if you can get those groups excited about coming to see you, you're going to essentially use their network that they've built for years to help drive people into your store so that they see you all at once. Give them a free space to meet. Say, hey, come to the store, meet. We're going to have a little cocktail hour or whatever. And then you guys can go off and do whatever you guys normally do for your meetings or whatever. Like anything that's going to allow people to promote you to their audience, basically, right? So it's all one to many. Like I'd rather have one conversation with somebody who is the head of an association who will then sell it to their 3,000 people than to go and try to sell to 3,000 people, right? So I think trying to connect with those groups in your local area that can help you promote because they're somehow connected to what you're doing, that'd be my suggestion. Okay, Amy Schulenberg. Do I go with my gut and choose not to work with a potential client? I'm not going to read the other part. I'm going to say yes, but then let me read the other part. Do I go with my gut and choose not to work with a potential client? Business, lighting, design consultant, hotels, hospitality, residential. Today I had a meeting with a group that has transitioned from a hotel work to office spaces. During the meeting, they requested that I spend 30 minutes providing their team with tips on office lighting for their projects, despite it not being my area of expertise. They also expressed interest in potentially involving me in a future project if necessary. I left the meeting with the impression that they are seeking free advice and have no genuine intention to utilize my services. This situation misrepresents my actual skill set and could potentially be a waste of time, particularly if a more suitable opportunity arises. I am inclined to trust my instincts and walk away. I would like to redirect them to someone else who may be better equipped to assist them. Totally agree. You are absolutely right. Look, if you're, I've been in positions where, I actually had a whole company. So you guys, I had this Robotaton. It was kind of like it was half an investment company and half consulting company in that we would implement the process optimization and automation and build all the software out of our own pocket. So we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on the technology side, and then we would implement it, and then we would take a piece of the upside and that's how we made money, right? From the savings that we created. The issue with the business was, more than one occasion, we would do a lot of preliminary work and prep for what we were doing, and then the customer, quote unquote customer, would decide they don't want to do it at all after we've given them all this information, right? So like like we've done all this work and they just say, I don't want to do it. We changed our mind. Now, did they go and take it and do something else with it? I don't know if they did or didn't, but the point is we put a lot of effort into something that wasn't really like, they weren't responding to it. They weren't going to actually do anything with it. So I think anytime you're in a position where you're putting effort in, and in this case, it sounds like you're not even putting effort into your core competency, you're actually doing something off to the side, and they're just kind of trying to use whatever you can like glean out of what you know in general. So yes, I would recommend that if your gut says this isn't the right customer, it's a distraction, it's not the right opportunity for me, I think you're better off spending your time on the right opportunities and finding the right opportunities than you are distracting yourself with something else. And also, these people might be actually very impressed if you just said to them, hey, this isn't my thing. I have someone who actually I want to refer you to who this is their thing, and they're going to take care of you from this point forward. I think they'll very much respect that when you come to them with that information. Okay, that is the last of all of the questions. This was really fun. I like this format. I also like the way I've got this set up on my desk here. So you'll probably be seeing more of this style. As usual, if anybody wants to chat or talk, just send me an email. And I'm always happy to connect with people. All right, talk to you guys later. Bye.